talking about relationships, how to keep the spark alive on BBC Radio London this afternoon. Get in touch. You can always email me, shay@bbc.co.uk. Join now on the line with Noel Bell, who is psychotherapist and spokesperson for the UK Council for Psychotherapy. Noel, it's great to have you on Radio London. Let's ask you first the important question. How do you keep that spark alive?
Hi Shay, good to be here. Well, I guess your question presupposes that the spark was there in the first place. So
exactly.
So if the spark has waned over time, then it's probably quite useful to look at how to rekindle that spark. And essentially that's what date nights are all about. Interestingly, hearing you say with your husband, getting dressed up, potentially feeling a little bit more spontaneous, bit exciting, hopefully fun in the place you go to. And that sort of rekindles the lover type relationships, because your own case, 20 years married, there's other roles, your parents, sometimes the being lovers can potentially become secondary.
Yeah.
So date nights is what you're rekindling, and hopefully to rekindle sparks that have maybe waned over time.
That's the thing, isn't it? No matter what anyone says, especially if you're in a long-term relationship, Noel, I think it's fair to say life will have big events. You know, everyday responsibilities will take over. At times, it can take a toll on your relationship. But how important is it to address it? And if so, when? Is it, if one person feels that way, should they be talking about it? Is it a case of sitting down and addressing the situation, or slowly approaching it? So I think part of this conversation is around, how do you keep that communication open?
I think the best thing to do is to sit down and talk about it. Relationships are no relationship is perfect. Relationships require work. But the best ones, the most healthy ones, are when we are intentional and purposeful in the things we do with each other. So we're not taking people for granted. And I think with long term, the danger is you can become a little bit complacent. And when you're in the early stages, it's very easy to be all excited with the lust stages. Longer term, you're into more an attached stage. You get to see someone in all their glories, and it's not just that early honeymoon phase.
Yeah, I think I love what you're saying. One of my biggest kind of quotes that I use all the time, like in my relationship with my daughter, everyone, complacency is your worst enemy. You know, even in day-to-day life, even in your work, being complacent, it will eventually get back to you in some way, shape or form. But if I was to talk to you a bit more practically about this, there'll be some tuning into Radio London saying, well, look, we're both working jobs, we're getting as many hours as we can in to keep the roof over our head, to make sure kids are on school on time, possibly, if we can, to afford our brand new car or that one family holiday in the year. Cost of living crisis has impacted everyone. Trying to date each other is just not something that we can do. We're just literally trying to keep the roof over our heads. So there's no option for keeping the spark alive. What would you say to that? Because that is some of the harsh realities that people are going through.
I would say, again, that presupposes that you're thinking the idea of a date night involves even spending money. It doesn't have to. Walk in the park together where it's very intentional, you're spending time. The key thing, Shay, is that you are showing someone else that you're close to that they're your priority. So it doesn't have to be a fancy restaurant. It doesn't have to be spending any money.
You know, I'm so glad you used a word here, because I think that's going to resonate with a lot of people. You need to be intentional in your actions, no matter how small or big they are. And as long as it's relayed to your partner, not to say, look, I've done this, but just that moment of time where you are both together, I have felt anyway, is the most important aspect. What about kids, though? How do kids impact dating?
There can be issues around resource. If you're looking at needing to provide for childcare, that in itself can contribute to the cost of living crisis. So yes, it does get a little bit more complicated when there's childcare needed in order to be spontaneous around a date night. But the key thing is that someone is engaged in fun and you are getting back to being lovers and not just the other roles, which are where you're parental. And because that's where the focus of being lovers can get lost. And that's the key.
I'm going to say something that sounds really odd, but I will explain myself. When I say touch a lot and kiss a lot, what I mean by that is holding hands, hugging each other, kissing each other. Those are the things that are vitally important. I remember after giving birth, my husband had pointed out to me, it'd been a couple of months, I was just really coming to terms with breastfeeding. I felt like my body quite literally had been torn apart. My pregnancy was just traumatic. And I think actually, I don't think I've ever met any woman who hasn't gone through the trauma. It can be very difficult, is what I'm trying to say. But I remember there was a point, maybe 2 months in, and Sonny said, we haven't even held hands. The only time we hold hands is when we're passing our baby to each other. And that really was like a moment where I felt Sonny had held the mirror up to me to say, yeah, oh my gosh, and rightfully so, we've focused on our daughter, but touch a lot and kiss a lot. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. More of that, Shay. We are social animals, and that's how we learned to attune to our caregivers when we are infants ourselves. So, yes, more kissing, more holding hands, for sure.
What would your piece of advice be to couples who, look, they both acknowledge they've lost the fire, and the one aspect they've really been ignoring has couples therapy? Is that the right way to go for some people? And it can seem really daunting, can't it, to look into something like couples therapy?
It can be. The first thing I ask someone if they come through my door is, do they want to stay together? Because it's often an assumption that people do, because they're coming to a couples counselling session. But it's not necessarily the case. People might unconsciously have given up and they're looking for validation. So they can say to their mates down the pub, well, we tried that therapy malarkey. It didn't work. So probably best we split up. So that's the first question is, do they want to stay together? Or if they don't, they might want to still explore how to finish in the most ethical, amicable way.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? Is if you feel that you've reached the end, then you do at least want to be able to end things amicably. Real pleasure having you on the show, Noel. Thanks for joining me. Noel Bell, psychotherapist there. If you'd like to share your thoughts, do get in touch.
Now he's thinking about me.